Sentimo coin of 1968, a small yet historically rich coin that carries not only monetary but also cultural and symbolic value. At first glance, it may appear like a simple piece of copper nickel alloy, but when you dive deeper into its story, you uncover layers of history, economy, design, and national identity. This coin is more than change in the palm of your hand. It is a miniature time capsule of the Philippines during a significant era of transition. The 1968 10 Sentimo coin belongs to the English series, one of the longest-running and most widely circulated coinage series in Philippine history. Introduced after World War II, the English series carried inscriptions in English, reflecting the Philippines' historical ties with the United States. The year 1968 sits right in the middle of this period, making the coin a fascinating study of a nation caught between colonial influence and a drive toward independence in identity. The coin's obverse features the Philippine coat of arms, a proud emblem of sovereignty and strength. It shows the sun with its 8 rays, representing the first provinces that revolted against Spanish rule, and the 3 stars for Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. This was not a random design choice, it was a deliberate reminder of the unity and resilience of the Filipino people. Even in the smallest denominations of currency, on the reverse, we find the denomination inscribed, along with the year of minting 1968. The clarity and precision of the coin's engravings speak volumes about the craftsmanship and intent to highlight national pride. Though modest in size, its symbolism was immense, reminding every Filipino of their shared heritage every time they held it. The year 1968 itself was a period of change and challenges for the Philippines. Under the administration of President Ferdinand Marcos, the country was navigating modernization while also facing political and economic turbulence. Coins like the 10 Sentimo became everyday companions of citizens, circulating through markets, transport fares, and daily transactions, silently narrating the story of ordinary lives during an extraordinary period. This coin was struck in copper nickel, a practical choice meant to withstand daily circulation. Its durability reflects the resilience of the Filipino people who, much like their currency, endured wear and tear but remained strong through the decades. The 10 Sentimo might have had little purchasing power, but its role in everyday trade and economy was undeniable. One of the most interesting aspects of the 1968 10 Sentimo coin is its connection to the broader historical journey of Philippine coinage. After the English series, coins would gradually shift to the Pilipino series, marking a stronger cultural identity by replacing English with the national language. Thus, this coin stands at a transitional stage, bridging colonial influence with the assertion of Filipino pride. Collectors today find the 196810 Sentimo to be a fascinating piece not because of its metallic value but because of the story it tells. It is a reminder of the country's evolving identity, of its people's everyday struggles and triumphs, and of the artistry that goes into something as ordinary as coinage. The coin size may be small, but the historical impact it carries is massive. Every scratch, every worn edge tells us about the hands it passed through: farmers in the provinces, jeepney drivers in the city, children buying sweets, and families saving up in jars. It is a true witness of Filipino life in the late 1960s. Some versions of this coin remain in circulation among collectors, though in heavily worn condition. Pristine examples are rare, and those that still shine with their original mint luster are highly prized. The rarity factor increases when coins have errors, such as misstrikes, off-centering, or unusual metal quality. The symbolism of the coat of arms and the national elements is worth emphasizing again. For a young nation continually affirming its place on the global stage, embedding national pride in coins was a way of solidifying identity. The 10 Sentimo coin of 1968 is a tangible reminder of that effort. Economically, during 1968, the 10 Sentimo had small but notable purchasing power. It could buy candies, a portion of transportation fare, or a local newspaper. For families of modest means, every Sentimo counted, making this coin a critical part of daily survival and household budgeting. In global numismatic circles, Philippine coins from the English series attract significant attention because they highlight the Philippines' unique colonial and post-colonial history. Collectors from abroad often seek out coins like the 196810 Sentimo for their historical value. One could say this coin is an unsung hero of Philippine currency. Unlike the larger denominations, which often get celebrated, the small Sentimo coins carried just as much history. They traveled farther, touched more hands and bore more stories of the common Filipino than their larger counterparts. Over time, the 10 centimo denomination would lose much of its purchasing power due to inflation, but its memory remains preserved in collections and historical accounts. The 1968 edition captures a very particular snapshot of a nation, balancing tradition, modernity, and cultural identity. For coin enthusiasts, finding a well-preserved 196810 Sentimo is like holding a piece of living history. It connects you directly to the Philippines of the 1960s, a decade of change, modernization, and complexity. The aesthetic design of the coin is also worth admiration. Its modest yet precise engravings highlight the skill of the minting process at the time, reflecting attention to detail despite its low face value. Some families still hold onto these coins. Sentimo coin of 1972, though it may seem like just a tiny coin, its story connects to the nation's culture, economy, and history in powerful ways. Let's explore this fascinating coin in depth. The 10 centimo coin of 1972 belongs to the second series of coins issued by the Central Bank of the Philippines after the country gained independence. It was part of the AMG Bagong Lipunan, the New Society program, launched during the presidency of Ferdinand Marcos. This era emphasized nationalism, economic reform, and new symbols of progress. The obverse of the coin features the portrait of Francisco Baltazar, also known as Francisco Balagtas, the great Filipino poet often called the Prince of Tagalog poets. His most famous work, Flora and Fauna, is a cornerstone of Philippine literature. By placing Balagtas on the 10 centimo, the government highlighted the importance of culture and identity. The reverse side of the coin carried the seal of the Central Bank of the Philippines, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, symbolizing monetary stability and authority. The inclusion of the central bank seal was meant to assure Filipinos of the credibility of their money during a time of political and economic transition. This coin was minted in copper-nickel-clad steel, giving it durability and a silvery appearance. At just 10 centimos, its value was modest, but it served millions of Filipinos daily for small transactions such as jeepney fares, candies, newspapers, and other essentials. The year 1972 was also significant because it was the same year Ferdinand Marcos declared martial law in the Philippines. Coins like the 10 centimo became silent witnesses to a turbulent chapter in Philippine history, circulating in the hands of ordinary citizens during an era of political control and economic challenges. Placing Balagtas on the coin was no accident. Marcos wanted to promote Filipino nationalism, and Balagtas represented the voice of the Filipino people, their struggles, and their dreams for freedom. In a way, the coin was not just currency but also a political and cultural message. The coin was small, light, and often overlooked, yet it was part of everyday Filipino life. For children, it meant a chance to buy sweets or toys. For workers, it was part of their fare or small savings. For collectors, it was an artifact, carrying symbols of an evolving nation. The design of the coin was created under the supervision of the Central Bank's Currency Management Committee, with input from Filipino historians and artists. Their aim was to balance practicality with cultural symbolism, ensuring the coin would resonate with the people. In terms of dimensions, the 1972 10 centimo coin was 17 millimeters in diameter and very lightweight. Its modest size reflected its low purchasing. Coins like the 10 centimo also served an educational purpose. By featuring historical figures like Balagtas, they introduced young Filipinos to national heroes and icons, making the currency not just a medium of exchange but a tool for learning. Interestingly, the 1972 10 centimo was part of a wider reorganization of Philippine coinage. The central bank gradually replaced older designs with new ones that better reflected the Bagong Lipunan ideology, where economic reform and nationalism were central themes. The coin circulated widely throughout the 1970s and 1980s. Though its value was small, it remained an essential part of everyday commerce, especially in local markets where every centavo counted. From a collector's perspective, the 10 centimo 1972 is highly symbolic. While not rare in circulation, well-preserved specimens in uncirculated condition are sought after by numismatists, particularly those specializing in Philippine coinage during the martial law period. The coin also highlights the influence of Spanish heritage on Philippine culture. Balagtas wrote in Tagalog during the Spanish colonial period, showing the resilience of Filipino identity despite centuries of foreign rule. His presence on the coin was a nod to cultural pride. During the early 1970s, inflation was slowly rising and the value of smaller coins like the 10 Sentimo began to diminish. Still, these coins were indispensable for daily trade and continued to be minted in large quantities. Some numismatists note that the 1972 10 Sentimo represents a transitional coin, bridging the gap between the old pre-decimal coinage designs and the modern Philippine peso. 1690 belongs to the Flora and Fauna Series, which was officially introduced in 1983 by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas (BSP). This series marked a significant shift in Philippine coinage design, moving away from the old Pilipino Series of the 1970s and early 1980s and ushering in a new look that combined Philippine national heroes with elements of the country's rich natural heritage. The obverse of the 1991 Piso features the portrait of José Rizal, the country's national hero whose writings and martyrdom played a crucial role in sparking the Philippine Revolution against Spain. Rizal had been a central figure in Philippine coinage since the first Republika coins, but in the Flora and Fauna series, his portrait was modernized, showing a refined engraving that symbolized the updated style of the late 20th century. Around Rizal's portrait is the inscription, Republika ng Pilipinas, along with the year of minting, 1990. This placement emphasizes national identity and pride while keeping the focus on Rizal's enduring legacy. On the reverse side of the coin, the Philippine Tamaraw bubulus mindorensis is depicted. The tamaraw is a critically endangered dwarf buffalo species endemic to Mindoro Island. The decision to feature this animal was deeply symbolic. At the time, the Philippines was highlighting its biodiversity and raising awareness about conservation, and the tamaraw stood as a powerful representation of the country's unique and threatened wildlife. Along with the animal, the reverse carries the denomination 1 Piso in bold lettering, making the coin easily recognizable. The coin was struck in copper nickel, a durable alloy widely used in circulation coins of that era, with a diameter of 28 millimeters and a weight of around 8.7 grams. The 1990 issue was quite large compared to the smaller coins of today. Its size and metallic composition gave it a solid, substantial feel in the hand, a characteristic many Filipinos still recall nostalgically. Economically, the 1990 Piso had significant purchasing power compared to the present day. In 1991, Piso could buy items like jeepney fares, small snacks, or basic household goods. It was a coin heavily used in everyday life, circulating widely in markets, schools, and public transportation. Historically, 1990 was also a notable year for the Philippines. The country was under the presidency of Corazon C. Aquino, who had come into power after the 1986 People Power Revolution. The economy was in recovery, and inflation was a concern. But coins like the 1 Piso remained vital in daily transactions. The BSP was in the process of modernizing its currency system, and coins, like the 1990 Piso, reflected both national pride and practical use. Collectors today see the 19901 Piso as a